What are some common signs that a person is toxic? Nothing is their fault. Absolutely. I had a really toxic friend once. At one point, he pushed me too hard on a certain subject and I ended up crying in front of him and 2 other friends in a public place. He then told me at that moment he felt sorry for himself. I still don't get how that works. All the bad things in the world happens to them, but it's never their fault. This is so ducking true. I dated this girl for a few months and she always had a reason why she couldn't hold a job, or why shit was always happening to her. It was never her fault though. They don't even have to be a bad person. Just bad for you. To me it when seeing them causes you more stress than happiness. When they are only happy when they can make the people around them miserable. Also, when they ask you a question, knowing the answer they want to hear. I give them an honest answer and they flip out. Another. They don't hear what you actually say but put some negative spin on it, effectively putting words in your mouth that you actually didn't say. In all of these examples I am thinking about 2 people I know and despise. They use their friends as the butt of their jokes to impress people. The second someone confronts them about it, or jokes about them, they get upset. Compulsive lying. Refusing to take no for an answer. Excessive dependency. Disregard for what's important to others in favor of what's important to them. An old friend of mine. Like 30 years. He knows my parents are somewhat hoarders. So he would, for a period, shoot me an email like, "Let me help your parents sell stuff." Then before I could even reply and explain it was their decision, not mine, he'd show up, go through their stuff seeking out the most valuable item, then propose to sell it for 5% of value and he gets 50% of the take, so he gets 2.5% of the value. And we lose 97.5% of the value. And not only me. Some other mutual friends have reported the same behavior. He wasn't even trying to help the situation. He was using it as an excuse to cherry pick the valuables and profit off of them. He never did sell anything since everybody put their foot down on him. And he at least has the ethics to respect that. You always leave them feeling emotionally drained. Introverts must think everyone in their lives is toxic. If you need to talk about something upsetting to you and the person makes it all about himself, not even trying to look like he cares, I always feel self-conscious if I bring up something that happened in the past that's similar or something involving me. Even though I usually do it as a I have this similar issue and here's what seemed to help what ended up happening. Because I'm worried it will come across as taking about myself. And not just making a short relative allusion to a similar event. I always bring it right back to them. But it still is a thing of not wanting to be mistaken in that moment. Self-absorption. Inflated sense of self-importance. Selfish. Greedy. A master manipulator. Lies about everything. Etc. My mom was like this, so I know this shit firsthand. Damn, all these comments remind me of one of my best friends whose shit I'm finally getting tired of. Thanks guys. I like this thread. When you look at everything through rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags. I once had an ex who admitted to sabotaging one of my previous relationships because she was jealous. I took some time off from my phone to just play video games and relax. I didn't want to argue with her. A few hours later, she was cutting her wrists. I couldn't even take a few hours to relax before she was trying to make herself the victim. As humans, when someone is broken, we have a desire to fix them. And that's wonderful. But when fixing them is clearly breaking you, you have to step back. No matter how much that person needs you. If their life seems to have a hard reset every few months or years where they burn every bridge, change jobs, have a completely new set of friends, move to a new place, are in a different relationship, etc. And of course, they never maintain connections or talk to all their old friends and family, and won't give you a straight answer as to why. That is a huge warning that someone is highly unstable and probably severely pisses off everyone they know. They always need people emotionally there for them. But they become distant the second someone has emotional needs in return. The most toxic friendship of my life ended abruptly when I realized she was not on my side. She did lots of things to illustrate that over the years, but I always could come up with a way to excuse her behavior. She was literally portraying herself to my other friends as someone who knew me better and longer and was there for the authority on me. And then telling them I was awful. She did that to a boy I liked who she liked too. So I excused it cause she was trying to win. But she continued to talk me to him after she got engaged to someone else. It all came down in the end to a conversation. She described me to me. And she very simply did not believe in me. She thought very little of me. And ended this insulting portrait with, "But I love you unconditionally and I will always love you." I just understood then finally that she was breaking me. That she was poisoning my own view of myself. She was wrecking my reputation. And she knew me for so long that she ought to have known me better. That if in all those years that's all she got, she was never going to know me and was only going to hang around making my life worse. I ran the duck away and never looked back. The toxic people I have encountered never own up to their mistakes and always blame other people. They only care about themselves and clearly don't listen or care when you share with them during a conversation. The conversation must always revolve around them. They constantly complain, are never positive and thrive on drama in their lives. Plus you feel exhausted around them or extremely uncomfortable because you're always walking on eggshells wondering if they are going to make a big deal over the smallest thing. When you have to apologize for everything even if you haven't done anything really. Also if they are always saying bad things about you but declare that these things are just jokes and you make a joke about them one time and they are mad af. I was just describing a toxic woman I know to somebody yesterday. And told them that in any positive situation, she can find a negative. Some of the examples I gave were, "Wow. It's sunny today, yeah. That thing you were waiting for just got here. 15 minutes late." As usual, it's all little stuff. But it really adds up after a while. Saying or doing something that makes you upset and calling you sensitive or any other insult for being upset is a good, simple first sign. If you're really curious or worried that someone may be toxic, get on YouTube and watch videos about gaslighting and narcissistic abuse. It will open your eyes to a bunch of toxic behaviors. My favorite YouTuber regarding this issue is Narcissism Survivor. Self-absorbed. Everything they do for other people feels fake and or like they are doing you a favor that they want you to pay back. If you realize you're a worse person around them, don't get things done. Become an ass. Become depressed or anxious. End up regretting things you've done with them like drinking too much. etc. They're probably toxic to you. Had a roommate I really enjoyed living with. But realized she was toxic when moved out and saw that her attitude of C's get degrees really impacted my own motivation and brought my own grades down as well, as compared to when I lived with my overachiever best friend and got straight A's. She wasn't a bad person at all. It was just that her attitude influenced me in a negative way. When you realize that being around them is an obligation, and something you're doing not because you want to, but because you fear what you'll have to put up with if you don't. That you feel worse rather than recharged after you've seen them. When the thought of seeing them makes you anxious or uncomfortable. They quickly judge people without wanting to understand the original intent. In other words, they put more energy into what happened than why it happened. They put other people down to elevate themselves. The most obvious sign for me is that they won't offer to help anyone. They may, begrudgingly, do something they view as an obligation. However, will never actively offer help to those around them. 90% of her conversation is about ranting and complaining. You don't look forward to hearing from them or seeing them. You dread having to interact with them when they react to something good in someone's life negatively. For instance, someone got married and all they do is make fun of them or assume they'll get divorced. They complain about everything that happens to them but they take no responsibility for it or make an effort to change. Everything you do or say is filtered as something negative to them, no matter your intention. Take note of when they want to be around you. If you're happy, are they genuinely happy for you and want to share in your joy? Or does this person find an excuse to avoid you or change the focus away from your good mood? Conversely, if you're feeling down, do they find a way to infiltrate your mood, focus on your unhappiness, and drag it out rather than help you out of it? TLDR, a good friend will want to be around you no matter what, sharing in your happiness and supporting you when you're not. They never take responsibility for their actions. Sometimes they deny that it even happened. But if it did, it was your fault, not theirs. They constantly talk about things and people that they hate and have no positivity whatsoever. You feel aggravated by everything they say. They brag in a way that makes you feel they are criticizing you. They always talk shit about what's basic and what's legit. And you feel like your stuff is being called basic. They talk to you only about their own interests and won't be sidetracked. Your role is to listen, not to offer a point of view. Like, shut up, I'm talking to you. They always flake. Sometimes they don't even tell you. They just don't show up. They ask you who else will be there, and sound like you have to work to sell them your party trip restaurant plans. There is drama. You talk to them, and then you get an angry call from someone that you said this or that. You can't just be yourself. They will find fault in anything you do. They make friendly jokes at your expense constantly. They aren't really your friend. You're too sensitive. No. You're an ass. Constant poor me attitude and always having something wrong. Basically always talking about your problems. My wife's adopted sister was like this. The first time I met her I noticed she was very manipulative and always had some personal issue she couldn't wait to share. After a few years, my sister finally saw what I saw the first time I met her. She finally realized the wedge between her and her real sister was created by this adopted sister through lies and fabricated drama. We no longer allow this toxicity in our life and have made it clear where we stand with her parents who still fail to see the truth. Well, her dad has figured it out. But her mom is another story. They can't be happy for anyone around them if they aren't the center or attention. I had a girlfriend that I considered a really close friend, until I got engaged and our other mutual friend got pregnant, and it turned out to be a rough pregnancy with twins. Up until then we all shared our lives and talked to each other all day. But once our lives started to progress in a different direction than hers, she was no longer interested and even said, I don't want to talk to y'all about your lives because you're always happy and it makes me upset. Can we talk about me? There was nothing in her life that should have made her upset. She's beautiful, successful and in a loving relationship. She just couldn't handle anyone being happy that wasn't her. Our entire friend group hasn't talked to her in months and it feels so good. It took a long time, almost 15 years, to realize she only wanted to hear about our lives if we were upset, and then she'd try to top it by making herself sound even more unhappy so that we'd all focus on her.